Thank you so much for your kind introduction. Dear distinguished guests, dear friends, dear colleagues, thank you so much for coming to this great event. My institute is very happy to co-organize this conference together with the Research Institute of Prometheus, European University of Cyprus, China Center for China Studies, and with the European University in Cyprus. My institute and the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences has very special relations with this university, with the Research Institute of Prometheus, because we worked together to set up a Center for China Studies. I just mentioned we had a close cooperation with the university for many years. So today's event is one latest event we worked together. We thought it's a good idea for us to invite people to come to join the debate together with us on this very important topic we are talking about. There are many talks, discussions about current world, today's world. Some was saying the post-Cold War era is over, which means we saw the end of the Cold War 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, and this period we call post-Cold War is coming to the end. We have good reasons to believe that, and a lot of people in Europe, in United States, believe the post-Cold War world is a unipolar world. We have never accepted this narrative in Beijing. In China, we think, okay, there is a long process of multilateralism. And in this post-Cold War era, there is another strong momentum of process, which is economic globalization. But now, obviously, economic globalization has lost, its energy. So these people argue the post-Cold War era is over. Some people say, well, it's not just the post, 30 years Cold War period. It's okay. Some people say this, we are witnessing the 80 years post Second World War, Ambassador mentioned. This era is also over. This year marks the end of the Second World War. Europe, China have a lot of, celebrations, meetings, conference. We try to learn lessons from the wars 80 years ago, to learn the experience we had, from this World War. For example, we set up the United Nations. A lot of multilateralism mechanism has been set up following the end of the Second World War. So we have lessons, we have experience. It's time for us to talk. People say, okay, this post-Second World War era is also coming to the end because, the multilateralism. This has been the major significant character of this 80 years is also being seriously threatened. So another argument is post 80 years of the Second World War is over. Recently, I met some professors from UK, Europe, other countries in Europe. They were telling me, it is the it is the era of, let's say, 500 years period is over. Meaning, Western dominance of the world in the past 500 years. They say, okay, with the rising of new economies, China, India, a lot of other countries, BRICS, G20 role has been rising. So this is not just the post-Second World War era is over. It's not just the post-Cold War era is over. It's the dominance of the global affairs by the West is coming to the end. Whatever people are talking about, I think we truly are feeling, we are living in a difficult period of time in our history. A lot of uncertainties, one Chinese minister of commerce, once said publicly, he said, I couldn't really enjoy good sleep this year from the January 2nd, February, because I just don't want to miss any important news from other parts of the world. So this is a reflection of uncertainties. It's not just uncertainties felt by one country. A lot of countries are sharing these deep concerns, uncertainties. So what can we do? I'm afraid this is a really good starting point for us to talk today. My country, China, I think we have a lot of debates on the perception of China's relations with the rest of the world. We are discussing, what China should look like, what China should do, what responsibility China should take in this turbulent world. The PRC was established in 1949. In the first 30 years after the establishment of the PRC, from 1949 to 1979, Professor Goliath, he's an expert. During these 30 years, China's relations with the rest of the world was characterized by two words. One is equality, one is independence. China want to be treated as an independent power country, treated equally after 100 years of humiliation by the Western powers. So China did not establish the diplomatic relations with the United States until 1979, 30 years late. So we had a long march for this normalization of relations to receive independence even after the establishment of the country. Then we entered into a new period of history, PRC's development. Since 1979, our relations with the rest of the world, Europe, United States, other parts of the world, started to have a new phase. If you like, I should say there's another two keywords to characterize this period of time, which one is, this is the English words, engagement. We don't use it in China. What we call cooperation. Or another words, maybe, we try to be part of the global system. Since 1979, when China adopted the opening up and reform policy, China started to join the global institutions one by one, day by day, year by year. Now, China is almost all the members of the world institutions. Some countries cannot do this. They are part of the system. They are not. China is virtually joined all the global world institutions. So I call this time is engagement, cooperation, being part of this system, we developed. We were greatly, hugely benefited by being part of this global community. This is a fact. What I'm telling you is today, our relations, the perception of our relations with the rest world is, China have a sense of, we should do something. We should be more responsible. We should provide more international public goods. We should do more contributions by, involving some very difficult issues. We try to be a part of the solution. That is a new era of China's relations with the rest of the world. This is why, Xi Jinping, our president, has put forward the Belt Road Initiative 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. This now has become the, most important international public goods provided by Chinese government. A lot of countries have been involved. We worked together with many European countries, especially in the Central Eastern European countries, Africa, Latin America, of course, neighborhood, China's neighborhood, Central Asia. This is a very important project. China is helping its neighborhood and other countries, the global South countries, if you like, to have a joint development together, move forward. Xi Jinping also put forward another three very important initiatives. One is called the Global Development Initiative. Professor Guillermo's, you are explaining this very well in public, international platforms by writing articles. Global Security Initiative, Global Civilization Initiative. This is not an incidental development. This is, something we think China should be more responsible. We promote new type of international relations by calling for countries to stick to the principle of mutual respect. A lot of countries being a big power, they forget, other countries should be treated as an equal member of the global society. Mutual beneficial, this is a very essential principles. This is not a slogan of Chinese government. This is, something we thought in our mind, in our heart, Our world deserves this if we want to have a good future, stable future, better future. And then, Xi Jinping also calling for building a community with shared future for mankind. This is something, you could say this is China's dream of the world. We would like to see the world as a peaceful world, developed world, a secure world, great developed world. The final sentence is a great development. So this is my brief, introduction what China is thinking in today's world. Let me move to the, try to explain, briefly our relations with other countries, mainly major powers. For example, what is our relations with the United States, um, relations with the European Union, Europe as a whole, European members of European Union, our relations with Russia, our relations with Cyprus. Ambassador has just explained very well. If you believe Professor Graham Allison, he is the founding director of Kennedy School at Harvard. He thought, there is a very difficult to overcome structural problem between China and the United States, our two important countries. He said, okay, there is a structural problem between the rising power and the establishing power, traditional power, which refers to China and the United States. We disagree with this judgment. We think, Asian Pacific, Indo-Pacific is large enough. The world is large enough for two countries to manage to peacefully coexist. China refused clearly the new Cold War mentality. We think, we should not return to the bloc confrontation order. China should really do everything, try our best to say no to this new Cold War. No one is missing that period. Military confrontations, decouplings of economic links, ideological confrontations. This is not major characters between China and the United States. China has diplomatic relations with the United States. We have strong trade links, although tariff wars is in a process. But I believe, a lot of believe either China nor United States wants to say a decoupling. No one wants to cut off two countries' economy, trade relations. United States is the number one world economy. China is number two. It's just impossible, unrealistic to these two countries economically, being cut off. We have difficulties. We need to overcome. China-Russia relations, I know, when we talk about cooperation with Europe, people say, oh, your relations with Russia is too close. We hear people complain this in Brussels. I was in Brussels last month. In Hungary 2 weeks ago, a lot of people say, okay, our relations between China and Europe is okay, but mentioning our relations with Russia. Let me tell you, friends, Russia is our biggest neighbor. We share 4,300 kilometers of border. Our relations was not always good in the past. Today, our economic developed so fast. Russia is our most reliable, secure supply of energy. We need to have this strong economic links. I hope you can understand this. But China does not support, provide any military assistance to Russia. This is also, I should let our friends to be clear. We strictly abide by this, export of dual-use items. So 5 minutes. So we want to do both. We want to meet close relations with the European Union, with European countries, and at the same time, we think our relations with Russia should be also maintained. We don't want to choose between Europe and the United States, Russia. Let's come to our relations with the European Union. European Union with 27 member countries is our biggest trading partner. Some people say, oh, no longer European Union. It's China's neighborhood. Some, it's called the East Dongmeng. Awesome. Thank you. But this is not true, because European Union reduced into our second trade partner is because Brexit. Because UK left the European Union. So the total trade number has reduced. Not because the European Union has become less important for us in terms of trade. It's because the UK left European Union. So with the trading sums. So we think European Union is a very important economic power. It's a strength. It's the single currency. It's the single market. And the people say in Brussels say European Union, China is a systemic rival. This is not correct. China is probably the only country in the world which has been continually perceived European Union as supported European Union's integration process from very beginning, 50s, 60s, 70s, and Ambassador Liu is right. This year marks the 50 years anniversary of diplomatic relations between China and the European community, economic community. That time was not the European Union yet. We want to continue to work with European countries beyond trade. We think today's, a more important area should be uphold the multilateralism, uphold the true multilateralism, based on the United Nations, international laws. Without China, Europe, this system is really in danger. So I think we need to not just focus on trade, economic affairs. This is a very important part of our relations. Should we say the core part? But we should also, focus on international cooperations, address jointly to the climate change issues, opposing unilateralism, opposing practicalism, supporting the economic globalization. That is all the points I'd like to share with you. Thank you so much.